All right, guys, so we're on Exodus 3. Looks like I have no neck, huh? Fuck it. Sometimes you see yourself so much you forget maybe what other people see when they first see you. Kind of glad it works that way, though. Or I would always see the no neck. But Exodus 3, what happened in Exodus 2? Oh, yeah, Moses. What happened in Exodus 2? Oh, yeah, God hears his people. They're in bondage. So God hears his people, their cry from being in bondage. The things that are happening to the men because the new Pharaoh is realizing that the Israelites are expanding in Egypt ever since they came from Canaan, when Joseph came. And Moses is born. The mothers, there's a new law in Egypt that they kill their first, any woman that has a boy, they're going to kill the boys. So the mothers are like, I don't know, they don't want their kid to be killed, so she just sent him up the river. But the little sister, Moses' older sister, she's still like a little kid, I suppose, maybe like less than 10. She watches her mom, and as she leaves the boy by the water, the sister still goes and checks up, and she wants to see who's going to find the baby. And it seems plausible, right? It actually seems pretty ingenious if this was actually like a created story. It's interesting, how they'll like add that little accent to the story if it's fake, It just seems crazy that it seems really believable. Like, a little kid's curious, like, Mom, why are you getting rid of our little brother? Like, what are you doing, I don't know if she asked the mom that, but she's just curious, like, I'm going to go see. And sure enough, Pharaoh's daughter finds the baby. And she said, like, oh, that's a Hebrew baby. Like, I don't know how to raise a Hebrew baby, which is kind of funny in itself as well. Or that's the funny part of it. And so when she finds the Hebrew baby, she's like, well, I can't raise it. And the little girl's just being nosy, like, hey, I got an idea. Hey, well, how about you get like I know this Hebrew woman. She could raise it for you, like some little, like, some, I don't know, what do they call it? Rich people have like a nanny or something. And sure enough, Moses is still being raised by his own mother. But when Moses gets old enough, where he could like walk around and feed himself and shit, like an adolescent, then he's raised as a Egyptian. Oh yeah, and then what happens is this is where Moses kills some Egyptian beating up a Hebrew. And Moses, which is weird, like how did Moses know he was a Hebrew? I don't know, they didn't talk about that. Moses kills a guy, and then all of a sudden he sees two Hebrews fighting, like later on, and they're like, what are you gonna do, kill us like you killed that Egyptian? So Moses is afraid, like, oh shit. So I think Moses left. So that's where we left off on. Moses actually fled from Egypt because he thinks that people know about him committing that murder. They was afraid. Oh, actually, Pharaoh actually found out. So Pharaoh was actually trying to get him, but he ends up fleeing. So part 3. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. Oh yeah, so Moses is married. Well, because he helped some sisters get water for their flock, and they came back pretty soon. Like, how'd you get her so soon when like all these other shepherd men are like always make you guys get water last? Like, oh, this guy helped us. Well, why don't you bring him? And she brought Moses, a homeless guy, and he realized Moses is a good man. There was probably no fentanyl back then, or no fucking homelessness, or like creepy behavior. It probably was creepy back then, people getting molested and shit. Not to the point of pornography, and we have all this, everything's so weird nowadays. Over sexualization. So Moses gets let in. The father has dinner with him, says, oh, she's a good dude. Probably tells him his story, what happened, Oh, you're from Egypt where they're killing all the boys and you survived, and you fled and this and that, or I don't know. You fled because so anyway, he gives him one of his daughters to marry. So now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. Okay, the flaming bush. This is important right here. Important in the history, The burning bush. Fuck, where's my pen? Attention, so. And he looked, and behold, the bush burnt with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Please don't park right with your fucking music. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that, he turned aside to see. God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. So Horeb is holy ground, huh? So Horeb is holy, whereon thou standest is holy ground. Yeah. Moses, Moses, and he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereupon thou standest is holy ground. And moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. So Horeb is that holy ground, the mountain of God, Horeb. Burning bush, chapter 3. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. That's a good thing Christians, they rely on. Like God says, I come down to deliver you out of the hands of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land, out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. So he says, for I know their sorrows. So that's what, God knows your sorrows and shit. I'm not being facetious or pretentious. Unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. God speaking, Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children, out of Israel. So God is sending them back to Pharaoh. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee to Pharaoh. So burning bush. God sends Moses back to Egypt. Please don't park here. And Moses said unto God, Who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? This is pretty like some faith stuff right here, And he said, Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. So God is saying, like, I'm going to bring you out, But when I do, you got to be loyal to me. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers has sent me unto you. Or this is where, like, who do I say sent me? I am, I think that, yeah, it is. The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord of God your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Let me pause right there. That seems kind of plausible as well, that there's a gap between God's, I'm sure God showed his presence to like faithful people, like who kept, the tradition or culture, the religion of their father Isaac, Jacob, and Abraham. On the God, I'm sure they passed down like, the signs that God showed them, like the birth that God gave to Abraham real late in his life, with Sarah and those that believed in those stories. Because like when Moses is saying, well, how are they going to believe me? Like, it kind of seems like it's a people who lost religion in a sense, Hebrews lost religion. Because they're going to ask, like, who's the God? What God spoke to you? Well, don't you remember the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Like, I could see that Hebrews lost religion. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Even to gather the elders, the more wiser ones, it seems plausible. Like, it seems like it's logical, it's reasonable. It's rational. And such unto them, and say unto them, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. So God's saying he sees what's going on. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, which is, where Abraham's from, and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews hath met with us, and now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all the wonders which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And it shall come to pass that when ye go, ye shall not go empty, but every woman shall borrow of her neighbor, and of her that sojourneth in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and ye shall put them upon your hands, or ye shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. Like everything that's the Egyptians is going to be yours, It's crazy. Crazy because it's kind of like the idea of like karma in a sense. Like you get what you deserve. You wanted to kill the sons, and now you're going to put all the jewels of silver and the jewels of gold that belong to the Egyptians upon your sons after they wanted to wipe out your sons, So the Lord, crazy. It's pretty fucking sick. Hebrews met with them. Let us go. Beseech thee. Oh no, I don't know if it's sick. Like I don't really. It's kind of fucked up for Egyptians, Especially since Pharaoh, I'm sure, was fucking up. Like I'm sure there was like a hierarchy. I'm sure there was some poor people. And they're like, we're cool with the Hebrews, I don't know. And I'm sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go. So God knows the king of Egypt will not let you go. But I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof. And after he will let you go. Peace.